Each year at Whirlwind Family Farm, I like to show you what we're growing in the fall because it shifts. It shifts away from what we typically like to grow in the summer, and it makes more sense for the cooler weather, even though we're here in Central Texas in Zone 8. And to give you an idea, yesterday we were 92 degrees. Yeah, that's right, we were 92 degrees. Today we had a cold front come through, and I know it sounds funny. Today we're down to 82, and it does feel much better. And tonight's going to be down in the lower 50s. So for us, fall has hit. But I'll show you a quick thing that we planted today, and this is a redo. By the way, I'm walking into our propagation tunnel, which the backside we do have some spinach growing. But in this propagation tunnel, our seed trays, we always try to keep something going. There's some brand new spinach, there's some arugula. And if you look at these rows, this is spinach that had to be a replant because we had blister bugs. And if you know anything about blister bugs, if you ever have an infestation, you're supposed to pull those and not consume them. And it is really disappointing when you do find it. We're now at the point where we're past that infestation. The blister bugs are done for the year. So my lesson is next year I'm going to start my spinach, and this is all 2.5 rows of spinach. We'll start it next year. These are 25-foot rows. Right here in the corner, we have some beets, as you can see right here along the edge. So that was planted today. And what we try to do is stay with greens, things that are going to flourish despite cold weather. And I will say, and I'm sure you're noticing, this is a high tunnel. And you're going to say, well, Jeff, if I have a small backyard garden or a small garden, I don't have room for any sort of high tunnel. And I don't want to have to pay for a high tunnel. And I'll tell you, you're exactly right. We do this because it is a commercial operation. If there's ever hard rains or there's any sort of high winds, these really provide protection to keep a lot of those plants going. But in a small backyard setting, you can go with row covers. You can put row covers down and have pretty much the same protection. And I will tell you, as far as temperature, there's every single night that I've checked, we have a remote monitor for these as well as a thermometer, and every single night, with the fact that up until about 10 p.m., this will hold a little heat in on those cold nights. But after that, the temperature levels out and it's the same inside and out. So just to let you know that. Okay, let's walk into our west tunnel where I'll show you a few of the things that we grow in the fall. And these are all 50-foot rows. Over here, we have the 50-foot row of carrots, and they're getting to the point where they're going to be harvested very soon. This row, we've got a little bit of Swiss chard, a little bit of lettuce right there, and then beets go down, and then there's some more romaine lettuce right back here in the back that you can see right along there, and a little bit of cabbage, and it's had a little bit of worm damage. But as the season goes on, these will recover nicely. And some of the worm attacks we've had, we probably should have put netting over these. We just this year tried it without it and kind of paid a price for that. Another thing that does okay here in Zone 8 this time of year, and they will actually go through the winter, is if you look right there, there's some bunch. Those are carrots right there, and you can see those are bunch carrots. Excuse me, onions all along there, so the onions can do well uh, as in this time of year as well. So I'm just going to sneak under the high tunnel, under the sides here, and we're going to go over to our west tunnel, and we'll just sneak in the side, and I'm going to show you a couple of things that we're growing in here that were also a redo because of blister bugs. So they just really were devastating this year and a problem. As we walk in, you can see 50-foot tunnel. Let's go down the end. We have a few peppers right here. We have some bok choy, which really does well. Again, like I said, we try to keep it to greens. That's what does the best in that colder weather. And again, we've had greens that have lasted here in Zone 8 all the way through the winter months. This is we're looking at. This is a redo, a plant of Swiss chard. These were planted about a week ago, but they're doing well and really starting to take off. And I'll show you something. We have two or three of our trellised, our cherry tomatoes all along here. They've been trellised, doing well. And last year, we had cherry tomatoes deep into January. Now, we'll tell you, as I said before, these high tunnels can have the exact same temperature inside as out. And there have been years where we got down in this area for us, which is very cold, down to 17 degrees, somewhere in that area. and these Swiss chard will freeze down. But we just go in, pluck the leaves off, and I will tell you many times they'll come back even after those hard freezes inside these high tunnels. Then the last thing I'll show you that really does well and likes the cooler weather, especially in this zone where we have a lot of hot weather, is radishes. And I just planted these a couple of days ago. You can see these are succession planted. There's a little bit older group right here, as you can see, right in there, and it goes down. And there's another group that's not quite as old. So that group has been put in about 2.5 weeks ago. And it just, that's our shift. We shift over to things that are going to be more hardy in the cold weather. And for our customers, they know that we can still supply those things deep into the year. And you can do the same depending on where you live. There's going to be zones certainly where it's too cold to do that. But if you have any sort of covering, even if you're lucky enough to have a greenhouse, you can go in with a greenhouse and be able to have things sustained all the way through the winter. Now, I realize that's a luxury, but if you're able to do that, that's great. Again, some bok choy right along there, which are absolutely doing fantastic, as well as some of those tomatoes right there. So let's go ahead, step outside the west tunnel. I can see my wife has got some planting she's about to do right there of some leeks. So let's step out. So there's a look at what we've been doing in the fall, and we try to keep things moving along. And we have really the opportunity, because we're in this warmer climate, to keep things growing almost year round. And again, if you're in the southern part of the United States where you're in these warmer zones, throughout the Southwest, throughout the Southeast, there's a lot of things you can continue to grow. And if you're in the colder regions up in zone 5, zone 4 in the United States, I will tell you, if you can have some sort of protection, like I said, if you're lucky enough to have a greenhouse, blessed enough to do that, that's a great way to go as well. So again, I appreciate you always checking out our channel. I'm Jeff with Whirlwind Family Farm. Appreciate your time. We have another video over here you can check out, which will take you further along in that gardening process. Blessings over you, your family, and your garden. Talk to you soon from Whirlwind Family Farm.